Okay, so going to the next section here, we're looking at labeling triangles. Okay. Good. So, trigonometry, you use a whole bunch of different things. Today, what we're going to focus on is your angle of interest. Anytime we do trigonometry, we have to indicate an angle of interest. We can indicate it in many different ways. Write down angle of interest. Write that down, write that down. The angle of interest can be indicated with a measurement. So it can be indicated with a number. It can be indicated with a capital letter, and often that's a Greek letter. So if you look at the first example here, 30 degrees, that's the angle of interest, 30 degrees, because there's a measurement. Next triangle in blue, it has a capital A. So this angle on the bottom of the triangle, that is your, is that your phone? Is that thing? Oh, it's the speaker. Speaker's wrong. That angle at the bottom is your angle of interest. Over here we have a Greek letter theta. Theta is your angle of interest. Okay. Then we have a Greek letter beta. So that is your angle of interest, that bottom angle. Sometimes all you have, like this example here, all you have is shading. So you can shade it showing your angle of interest. Okay. And not even shading, sometimes you just use a little line like the very last one on the bottom. So the very line on the bottom, that's indicating your angle of interest. Once you found your angle of interest, then you can start trigonometry. And you can label your hypotenuse, your opposite side, your adjacent side, otherwise known as your HOA, H-O-A. And you want to specifically do it in that order, H-O-A, HOA. All right? Any questions? So again, the opposite and adjacent sides are important because they can change if your angle of interest changes. That happens all the time. So let's just review some of the Greek letters before we get going. The first one is beta with a capital B. So if I use a capital B, it's B with a tail. B with a tail, that's beta. The next one is circle with a line through it, almost like a sash. And if you look at the computer program, it even draws it more like a circle with a sash. And that's theta. Sometimes we use alpha, that's the sideways fish, okay? The sideways fish is alpha. And you might know that from, alpha and omega. Okay? Alpha being the beginning of alphabet, omega at the end, right? The beginning and the end, alpha and omega. Sound familiar, Malik? What's up? Yeah, Bravo, Charlie. Those are actually, it's more, they're not usually in the Greek letters though, but they use the words for the letters. To make sure you don't confuse, right? Bravo, Whiskey, Charlie, all that stuff. Yeah, totally. But it's not, this is Greek letters though. I like your thinking though. Okay? So, what do you start with when you're labeling your HOA? You want to label it in the HOA order. So if you're looking at this here, HOA, eyes up here first, don't write this down. You would actually put your pencil right here at 90 degrees. That's the first one you label. You draw a line, and that's your hypotenuse. The next one you label is O. So you find your angle of interest, which for us is down here at the bottom, and you draw a straight line, and that's the opposite side. Now, if you're super lazy, you just use the capital letters. Really, I like to use the 3 letters until I get better at this. Now, the word that you don't know what it means is the last one, and there's only one side it can go. And that's why we leave adjacent for the end, because you don't know what it means. That can be a capital A or an ADJ, adjacent. And you want to do it in that order. So the first thing you label is what? Your hypotenuse. Do that number 1. Number 1, label your H. Number 2, label your O. Number 3, label your A. So now we're going to get a little bit of practice of this. Super important, easy to do. Quickly draw this triangle. And we're going to use beta at the top. Beta at the top of the triangle. So we're going to label our HOA. GOA. What's the first one that we start with? H. How do we find an H? Straight line from 90 degrees over. That is H, or HYP, hypotenuse. Find your angle of interest, which is up top. Draw a straight line to the opposite side, and the opposite side is called the opposite side. Now, which one do we label last? Adjacent. And it's easy because there's only one place it can go. So even though you don't know what it means, you can't screw it up. Adjacent. Any questions? Okay, so we're going to do a little bit more practice here. Right here. Draw this triangle, and let's label HOA, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. GOA, label your HOA. It's HOA, hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. This is math, it's not a rap song. So, first one is H, across 90 degrees. Second one is O, opposite your angle of interest. The bottom angle is shaded, that means it's my angle of interest. And the last one then is adjacent, okay? All right, good practice. Any questions? Okay, so turn it over. Another example, GOA, label your HOA. Label your HOA. HOA, label your HOA. $15. Which one's O? 9. And which one's A? 12. Okay, so hypotenuse is across the 90. Our angle of interest is theta on the bottom left. So we draw a straight line. Always draw straight lines to the opposite side. So hypotenuse then, we can fill out the bottom now. 1, 2, and 3. Hypotenuse is 15. Opposite is 9. Adjacent is 12. Questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, go to example 2. Look down below at the bottom, example number 2. Label your HOA, GOA. What do you notice about this triangle? No, it's not backwards. What's backwards, though? Yeah. Like, are the numbers different at all? Yeah, so what's changed is I went from my angle of interest at the bottom of the triangle, now it's over at the top of the triangle. And so when you change your angle of interest, you'll change your O and A. So O and A have switched places. Did the hypotenuse switch? No. The hypotenuse is the hypotenuse is the hypotenuse is the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse can't switch because 90 degrees never changes. All that switched was your angle of interest is now at the top. And so now 15 is the hypotenuse. The opposite is 12. The adjacent is 9. So those two switch spots when you switch your HOA. That's important to recognize. Very important to recognize. Questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, down here, all you're doing then is labeling H, O, and E on the triangles. Once you get those 4 done, come on up, grab the quiz. Just bring your booklet. I want to just make sure we're all up to date with all our Pythagoras before you do the quiz. Pitter patter, get at her, go.